Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I am back with another video. Today's video is featuring some products from Altenew, including the nesting arches, a couple of different sentiment sets, and then the zero waste wildflower meadow. The real star of this show is actually this double-sided adhesive. So this is what's going to make making our 4 cards from one background super easy. These double-sided sheets are 8 1/4 by 11 3/4, so they are slightly larger than a regular sheet of paper. And this is the basis of where we need to start our card in order to get these super easy 4 cards from one background. I do trim mine down just slightly smaller than an A2 size card, and that's just to make sure that when I'm lining everything up, I have a little bit of wiggle room. This has peel away paper on both sides. We're only going to start to peel one side, and then I'm going to fold it. And this is how I am going to apply it to my cardstock. So this is an A2 size piece of white cardstock, and I'm just going to kind of rub that on there where it's been peeled back. And then I'm going to use a bone folder. I actually couldn't find my large bone folder. But so I'm just kind of going to use this. You could use really any flat kind of edge. And I'm just going to push this back as I peel just a little bit of the adhesive each way. I actually use this for another card, and that video hasn't been shared yet, but I use this for another card with felt, and it worked really, really well. So I am just going to keep moving this until I get all the way out to the edge. And then the reason we're doing this is to make sure, 1, everything lines up really nicely, and 2, we don't have any air pockets. So then after that is done, I am going to place my zero waste background die. They have a bunch of different ones of these. This one, like I said, is the Wildflower Meadow. And I am going to put a little bit of mint tape on the front and then wrap it around the back. Now, here is the trick to getting this cut because it is thicker, right? We've added adhesive on the back and another backer sheet in addition to our regular cardstock. So I'm going to run it through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 twice, like a portrait, and then I am going to run it through twice again, like a landscape. And this is what you want to do if you want to be able to pop the pieces out with the paper still on the back. If you're not worried about the paper still being on the back and you just want to remove them as stickers and then you'll remove the back another time, you actually probably only have to do it just like that 1 or 2 times. Switching up the orientation helps add different pressure in different places. So it's going to help with these more intricate dies for them to cut really cleanly. So here, what I'm doing is I'm putting this is my original, my OG sticky mat for my stamp wheel. And I'm going to use this to do some inking. Now you can see some of these pieces did come off of the backer sheet, and I'm just going to take them off the die and just plug them right back in. They just fit right back in there, and you don't have to do this. This is just if you want to do what I did, which was use the background for 2 cards and the florals that come from the background for 2 cards. And I'm going to use every bit of this. There will be no waste left over. So I'm just going to fit those pieces back in, and then I am going to ink blend the background. I had no idea what I was going to do with my ink blended background, so I'm showing you each of the families that I pulled. Altenew does theirs in like a bundle of 4 that all go together, lights to darks. I actually only ended up using the first 2 colors of each of those, and I'm going to swap out the pink. I ended up switching over to a brighter pink. I just like that better. And then I'm using the large flat brush. This is actually the first time I've used that. Really worked well. The small flat brushes and then the mini brushes. I'm going to be using a combination of all 3 because I don't have enough for all the colors I have and all of the different things that I have them in. But I'm just randomly applying this. We're just laying it down, trying to get good coverage. So while I am ink blending, let me tell you about the special offer that Altenew has offered my followers, because they're wonderful. So for today and tomorrow, which I apologize, this video is getting up a bit later in the day, you can get 40% off of the double-sided adhesive sheets. There's 10 sheets in each set, and like I said, they're larger than a regular size piece of cardstock. And the code that you want to use is Kelly, Kelly, double, DOUBLE, and I will link that below as well. And you can get 40% off of those adhesive sheets. Now, obviously, I mean, I know you guys know you can use them to make like sticker like die cuts, and you can use them for different glitters and things like that. Today we are using them to create a really easy way to kind of like stretch our background. And I would say that it worked pretty well, considering I was able to get 4 cards from just this one background that you see us doing. So I'm a big fan of anything that's going to give me more for my dollars. Now, you can do this without the adhesive sheets, but then you're going to have to put glue on every one of those little bitty die cut pieces, and that is too much for me, y'all. I can't do it. You guys know I don't love the fiddly bits, so making them into little stickers that already have adhesive make my life infinitely easier. So here, this is giving very like Under the Sea vibes for me. I expect that Sebastian and Flounder will be swimming by at any moment. I don't know why that is, but that is how I was feeling about it. I was like, oof, I don't really love that. So I always believe in ink blending twice. If you guys watch my videos, you know that is true no matter what kind of ink I am using. I will say Altenew's inks do kind of settle back, like dry back really nicely, to be a little bit more even, but since I was like, it's a little too pastel, I went back over it with the original color. So like in this case, I used Iceberg, and then I went back in and added a little bit of a darker color from the edge with Eastern Sky. Same thing with this one. The lightest one is Pistachio, and then I went in with Misty Sage. This is a nice yellow-green combination. And then I did that. This is before I decided to change the pink. The pink was just giving it was like too corally. And it was too close, I think, to the orange combination that I picked. I'm not entirely sure why I didn't love it. But I did not love it. And I loved it much more once maybe it's just because I like bright colors. You know, sometimes we just have to be self-aware and accept ourselves for who we are. So anywho, then I did the Dewdrops and Aqualicious. What else? Oh, the orange is Peachy Glow and what is it? Golden Honeycomb. I had to look. I had to look. And so this is getting much brighter, and I am liking that quite a bit more. My original intention when I had pulled out, this is the one we're switching to, by the way, Pink Diamond and Rubelite. When I had originally pulled out all 4 colors, my game plan was to have like a much richer colored background and then add shading to the die cuts with the darker colors. That was my original like kind of go-to plan. But then here's what happened. Once I started popping these guys out, which the moisture from the ink does help make it to be easier for them to kind of pop out. And here you can see you can pop them out with the backer. There are some pieces that it's a little bit trickier to do that than others. And you do just need to be very gentle, especially if you're trying to reserve both pieces. But since I'm going to use mine as stickers, there were some of these pieces, like this one right here, where I was just having a hard time getting it out because it was so thin. And so I just peeled off the sticker. I started to take the time to remove the backer, and then I was like, that's so silly. I'm going to end up removing the whole backing piece anyway. So it didn't seem worth it to spend the time. So that's when I was just like, hey, I'm just going to pop them out. And if they don't want to pop out, then that's fine. I'll just take them as stickers. And then I just laid them on that sticky mat to kind of be a placeholder. So here's where we're at. So what happened here was once I removed them, I really loved kind of like the ink blended pastel vibes that the pieces were giving. And I was like, I don't want to make that, like, I don't want to go in there and add any more shading. I just want to use them as is. So now let's put this background to use. So you can do just one card, by the way. You don't have to do 4. You could do 2 cards, you could do 3 cards, whatever. But we're going to treat this the same way. So this time, instead of my sticky being on the, like the back side, I'm going to do it on the front. And this is a little bit more, like a little bit more malleable. So here, like I can take off the backer piece, and as long as I hold it in my hand, I can line it up to the edge. Now you'll see that there is that little edge on the right hand side. Remember in the beginning when I said I do cut my sticky panels to be just a little bit smaller, so I don't have to worry about the edges lining up exactly. That is what you were seeing there. So I'm just trimming that off. So that right there could be one whole card. It's not gonna be in this video, but it could be. And then I'm going to go in and use these nested arches. You could use any shape. These are just, these came out in March, so they were on my desk. And then I am going to do some that have a larger arch, and then some that have a smaller arch. And then what did I use? I used the Versatile Greetings 2. I used the Stylish Greetings. I think is Stylish Greetings, and then I used Scripty Sentiments. So I used all those different sentiment dies. And then I'm just cutting these out. I pulled basically the same colored papers that you see. That's Rubelite, is the pink, Aqualicious is the teal, the darker teal you'll see in a little bit, and then Dewdrops is the lighter teal. That one, that blue is, I think it's called Starlight. Ultramarine is in that same pack, and I do have that, but honestly, I thought the Starlight kind of matched better with what I was going for. And then the one at the end is it Misty Sage? No, I think I used a different one. I'll double check that. And I also used buttercream, but I didn't end up keeping that one. So now once we have everything die cut, like here you can see at the top, I just picked out a bunch of different pieces to kind of lay those down. So the insides of the background you can use to build a focal point. So I'm doing that for 2 of the cards, and there's more than enough to build generous focal points with these wildflowers. So the one at the top, like I did 2 little floral clusters with the sentiment in the middle, with that arch. This one here, I'm doing those 3 smaller arches, and then building the kind of bouquet up from the sentiment. It's kind of more centered on the right-hand side. This one actually reminds me very much of my grandmother. I know it's probably a weird thing. So here, this is the Aqualicious. I'm going to cut a larger arch out of this one, and then a smaller arch from our background. But anyway, that blue one reminds me of my grandmother, because my grandparents had it was a decent house, but it was a smaller house for raising 4 kids. So there were 6 of them in this house that had 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and one of the ways, it had a big picture window, and one of the ways my grandmother helped her space look larger was on the opposite wall from the picture window. She had these 3 rounded mirrors that she hung on the wall, and so because it reflected the light back and stuff, it made her space look larger, even though it was not necessarily a very big house. We did end up having to, like, after Graham got sick and moved in with my parents, she lived there for a couple of years before we ended up selling the house, but we did end up selling the house. And it makes me very sad, because that was, well, if you are a person who had a close relationship with a wonderful grandparent, then that's like, as a kid, that's one of your favorite places in the world. And so I was very, very sad when we sold it. I understand why we had to, because we can't all keep our parents' houses. But yeah, it was a little bit heartbreaking. But anyway, those little 3 ones remind me of my grandma's mirrors. And then So this one is kind of the leftover arch. I'm going to be honest with you, this is my least favorite card. And I think it's because I pushed it to be something maybe that I didn't love because I wanted it to have like 3 different colors. I like the teal and the pink and the blue. I didn't love the buttercream because you really couldn't read the sentiment. And then I don't necessarily know that I love this green one. I think that I may go back and do just another teal sentiment, and I think I may like that a little bit better using that Aqualicious again. But there is also quite a bit of a gap, like from the white arch. And I don't have the same amount of flowers to kind of fill it up. So what you do see me using is the dots. I told you there would be no waste left with this, with these cards. So the dots that were in the background, I'm actually going to use to kind of help fill that space. And not just the dots themselves. I have another way that I'm going to fill that in to help create a more fluid focal point. So here, I'm just gluing everything together. Nothing got popped up. Everything got glued down flat. I have no regrets about that because I think that there will be nice and they'll mail nicely for people who mail things. Not for me, obviously, because I don't mail anything. Not a single thing do I mail. If you receive something in the mail from me, it's because somebody else in my household decided to be a responsible adult and take up that cross and mail the item. Because if it's up to this girl, you will never get it. If we were back in the olden days of when I was young, and you still had to like send in a check to pay your bills, my credit score would be 2. Like, honest to God, I am terrible at mailing things. So anywho, here, to put this together, like literally all I have to do is just peel the sticker off. Like, that's it. Some of them already, like the leaves didn't have the sticker, like the backer on it anymore. So these were already good to go. And then for the flowers, I just peeled my little sticker backer off and I stuck them right on top of there and they're good to go. This was so... If you are a person who's like me and you don't love the fiddly bits, the double-sided adhesive is a total game changer for things like this, because chasing around those little flowers would drive me insane. And I just wouldn't do it, to be honest, because I'd be like, yeah, that's a really pretty card, but it's going to take me 500 years to chase those things around and I'm not interested. So this is how we're going to zhuzh them up and make them extra, you know, because I love all the extra in the cards, not in the real life. So I'm using a combination of the clear iridescent stellar sequins. There are 6 sizes. These things are amazing. So there's 6 different sizes in them and they come in resealable packaging. I am using the smaller side, the 3 small, not the smallest, the small, medium, and large, not the extra small. And not the extra large or double X. Those 3 in the middle. And then also these gems, these mother of pearl gems, there's like these large ones, especially. I always struggle to use the really large ones. And then these are great for decorating cards like this, where maybe they need a little bit of extra something. So I'm doing the sequins like kind of interwoven between my colored dots to fill up my focal point. But then I'm also using those mother of pearl gems to be the center of my flowers and on my background, as well as in the like the other cards. So I hope that these inspire you to kind of stretch your supplies and get a little bit more out of them. Again, that double adhesive 40% off sale is good for today and tomorrow. If you're interested, I hope that you will check that out. It will be linked below. And again, thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye.